Activating the campfire consciousness. One of the great privileges of my life has been thousands of nights around campfires. One really can't overstate the raw, ambient power of a campfire. There is something about the quality of the light it throws, and the warmth in the dark, the scent of wood, and how the tone of people's voices seem to naturally hush to blend with the gentle hissing of the flames. Fires seem to invite a whole different way of being. For some reason, the fire seems to activate some old, largely forgotten human DNA code. People slow down. There seems to be a natural desire to start to tell stories. The fire draws every person's attention, allowing you to speak without ever having to be self-conscious about being the center of attention. The tending of logs into the flames brings one back into a gentle mindfulness. I want to tell you about a recurring dream I have. In the dream, I'm sitting alone on a dark night around a campfire. All through the night, people walk out of the darkness into the circle of the fire. They flop down, road weary, and start to tell their story. Some of these people walked out of perfectly good houses, filled with double-door fridges and coffee machines, big screen TVs and pool pumps, and manicured gardens, to come and sit by the fire on a dark night under the stars. Others had been suffering in untold ways, alone for years. They came to hear a story that would help them tell their own. Man, it's so hard to make meaning in your own life in isolation. You need other people's real journeys of love and failure and greatness and despair to understand the way that there is some kind of unseen value in living just under the surface. Every life needs the context of other lives. And listen, don't get me wrong, it wasn't all some deep, somber witnessing. In the dream, there was a high degree of shit-talking. And important stories too. One woman told me she was in complete and intoxicating love with a man who swayed his devotion. One day, he told her after morning coffee in bed that he needed to return to his apartment to feed his dog. And this was the last she ever heard of him. I mean, I need to go feed my dog. What the hell? Being a person is absurd. And what a story she had carried with her all her life since that day. Thought of herself as not even worth a decent explanation of departure. Oh, but the people around the fire, they would have none of this. This story says nothing of you, they said. This is a story of a scared man hiding behind a dog. This is not a story of rejection. This is a story of you being spared, they said to her. And just like that, she saw in the faces of the people in the firelight a truth. In fact, it felt like the fire itself had spoken. She had not been abandoned, she had been saved. Around a fire, the context is already established. You see, there is meaning, and the meaning is that we were there, together, all of us, the people, being people, laughing and eating and singing. And one day some of us would not be there. There would be an empty seat. And each person has a way they bring to that circle, a simple presence, a beingness. It's a good dream, in a time when it's becoming hard to remember what we forgot. Even I, after a childhood of campfires, can find myself staring at some screen instead of going outside. And at least I can remember in that moment that I forgot. Some people don't even know what's missing anymore. And what will happen when there's a whole generation of people left who could walk through what's left of the redwoods only to remove their earphones and say, I don't get it. Everything in this ever more technological world is an anesthetic. But the village consciousness, that is of aliveness. Luddite maybe, but more in tune with blood and the song of a stream and the stillness of a peak and being out somewhere for a spring bloom. And this has a lot to do with the difference between more and more of what we really want. What do you really want? This question I am posing you is way more harder to answer than you might initially think. What do you really want? Well, I can tell you, I want a campfire most nights. A campfire with friends seems to be one of those things that radically puts you in a place to answer the above question with much more depth and soul. And I tell you this as someone who can stay in the shallows. A fire won't let you. In my dreams, I see every person who learns to come to the fire becoming the sort of person who lights a fire. So light the fire. That's right on the nose, but it's a remedy for sure. This is Road Dog from the Kruger National Park.